Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's official explains why AstraZeneca vaccine. This story takes the lead in our 1052nd edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 19th February 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world? And you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine was the first to be approved by the World Health Organization. So, why didn't Trinidad receive that vaccine first instead of the Oxford AstraZeneca, which is the second vaccine to be approved in the COVAX facility? Alicia Boucher of TV6 News sought an answer from the health minister.
The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is an mRNA vaccine which uses nanotechnology and must be stored at minus 70 degrees Celsius. The Oxford AstraZeneca is a vector vaccine more in keeping with the traditional style of vaccine development and can be stored between 2 and 8 degrees Celsius. But as it relates to why AstraZeneca was chosen, Minister of Health Terence D'Elsing says the first aspect had to do with when Pfizer was approved into the COVAX facility.
Pfizer only came into COVAX very late in the game, in January. Pfizer was never a part of COVAX from the very beginning. So that will explain some of the delay in getting the Pfizer vaccine into the COVAX countries. That is one reason.
Minister D'Elsing says the global shortage of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, which was in very high demand, was another factor as to why the Pan American Health Organization chose to withhold that vaccine for TnT.
So they didn't want to send Pfizer, I'm only talking about Trinidad and Tobago now, to Trinidad and not have enough for the second dose. They also found that because of the management of COVID-19 in Trinidad, that it was so good, and our death rate was so low, they would have preferred to send whatever small amount of Pfizer vaccines were available to other territories, and that Trinidad and Tobago will receive the AstraZeneca vaccines.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. Roshan Parasram says making an informed decision on which vaccine to take is important. So, whether you are eyeing the Pfizer vaccine or the AstraZeneca vaccine, you should bear the efficacy in mind, with Pfizer at 95%.
AstraZeneca is somewhere hovering between 60 and 80%, at the higher end, 82.5%. AstraZeneca also has research that suggests that it will decrease your risk of transmission, which is something that Pfizer has not proven data as yet and doesn't have a complete data set on.
And according to Dr. Parasram, those trials are ongoing. There's also another point seemingly in favor of AstraZeneca, but one the CMO says can only be proven with time.
Some immunologists have said that the vectors will provide a better and long-lasting immune response. So it might be slightly less in terms of percent, but the immune response may be longer in terms of lasting. It may last longer than the Pfizer vaccine. Both of them are very good vaccines. They're both WHO approved. They're safe and effective. And I think either one can be used, of course, bearing in mind the contraindications if you fall into one group or the other.
Based on the CMO's pronouncements, the minister has a message to persons who may be pro-vaxxers, but selectively so.
Some persons may opt to wait on another vaccine. Would you advise that they do?
So, Alicia, I think the lesson to be learned there is don't wait. There doesn't seem to be any benefit to wait for one over the other. So I think the lesson is whichever one of the two is available, take it.
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Frontliners have begun receiving the first shots of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine in St. Lucia. Gina Felipe of HTS News Force reports.
Nurse Julieta Cassius has become the first person in St. Lucia to receive the first dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. On Wednesday, the Health Ministry administered the first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine to nurses, doctors, fire and police officers. The historic event was streamed live via TnT, the Government of St. Lucia's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Nurse Cassius, who contracted the virus in March 2020, says she decided to take the shot for added protection for others and herself.
I must say I do not have any side effects up to this there, no long-term effects, so I'm happy about that.
Absolutely.
So again, receiving the vaccine today, we know about natural immunity, and then I know persons are out there and they're saying, well, I've had the disease, there is no reason for me to take the vaccine. But of course, we know even with natural immunity, it's still not full immunity.
Absolutely.
So regardless of one having the virus, it is still important that they receive the vaccine. And hence, I think, yes, I need to have that vaccine to continue protecting myself, building more of that antibodies to protect me, to prevent me from being reinfected.
And also to protect others around
exactly.
as well.
Dr. Stephen King was the first doctor to get the shot. He believes that the vaccine is the only way to bring the pandemic under control.
I was very pleased and honored to be one of the first to be vaccinated. I believe that as doctors, and indeed as citizens, we must walk the walk. And I believe in this vaccine. I believe in the science. I trust the science, and I have faith in it. And I want solutions to know that the vaccine is something that we must do if we are to get over COVID. COVID is not something that I think we can live with. COVID is something that we must actually eliminate, and the vaccine is what will allow us to eliminate once we all take the vaccine, and that is why I did it today.
First responders in the fire service are charged with responding to suspected COVID-19 cases. Fire Officer Fernando James revealed that it has been a challenging time handling both COVID-19 cases and executing regular duties.
COVID has actually landed on our shores compared to the other viruses that we've seen on an international basis but never came to St. Lucia. And it has been very challenging for the men and women in St. Lucia Fire Service in terms of responding to not only cases we may believe may have been confirmed or infected, but the unknown case. And so, with all the medical and trauma emergencies and shootings and stabbings, we believe everyone is positive until proven otherwise. So we take all the necessary precautions in infection prevention and control in protecting ourselves, but also caring for the members of the public.
While fire officers attend to COVID-19 cases, police officers are responsible for enforcing COVID-19 protocols. Superintendent of Police Mashama Sili urges others to take the vaccine.
Persons may have their reservations, but it is better to have some measure of protection as opposed to having to worry about contracting the virus, spreading the virus, bringing it home, getting severely ill or possibly dying. So we're happy that the vaccine is available, and I encourage everyone to take the vaccine.
The COVID-19 AstraZeneca vaccine is to be administered in 2 shots. Vaccinated individuals will receive a certificate to indicate the date for the next shot. The second is due 8 to 12 weeks after the first jab. Gina Filippi, HTS News Force.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Guyana Coast Guard and its supporting agencies are preparing to call off the search for a drifting vessel with dead bodies on board, which was first spotted some 80 miles off the coast of Guyana on Sunday. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana reports.
The Guyana Coast Guard and its supporting agencies are preparing to call off the search for the small vessel that was spotted 2 days ago in Guyana's waters with a number of dead bodies aboard it. Last evening, Public Works Minister Juan Edgil called a press conference to announce that the boat had disappeared and the authorities had no clue of its whereabouts.
So we have 3 different dispatches of vessels by way of water, 2 boats off of the northwest, 1 boat that was already out at sea, moving from its position into that general area. And this afternoon, a dispatch with the Guyana Defense Force Coast Guard just after 5 o'clock. And we've had 2 aerial surveillance covering about 5 hours of aerial search. We have not had a sighting of that boat.
The vessel was last seen on Monday night at about 80 miles off the coast of Guyana. The crew of an outgoing vessel that first discovered the boat and made the emergency calls was asked to keep an eye on it so that the local authorities could be mobilized to head out to sea. The Coast Guard and supporting agencies did not head out to sea until more than 15 hours later.
Receiving the report as of 4 minutes after 2 yesterday, and our efforts during the afternoon, last sighting 53 minutes after 7 last night. And I need to indicate at that time, the weather out at sea was not friendly based upon the reports that we would have received. We are distressed that having had 5 hours of aerial surveillance and the scoping of the general area by 2 fast boats carrying 200 horsepower engines, each which is 400 horsepower. They've gone all the way out, and they've been along the line, I'm told, from Anna Regina all the way out in that general area, which Captain Flores will be able to describe. We haven't had any sightings as yet.
In a statement this afternoon, the Public Works Ministry, which has taken the lead on the search for the boat, indicated that there has still been no sighting. In addition to a number of vessels from the private sector joining the search, the GDF also conducted a number of flights over the area where the vessel was last spotted. Those searches also came up empty-handed. The Guyana Maritime Administration has since issued a warning to all vessels that might have to traverse the area to be on the lookout for the drifting vessel and to report any sighting. Guyana has also reached out to the Trinidad and Tobago Coast Guard since it is suspected that if the vessel is still drifting, it could make its way into the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. Although the vessel with the dead bodies was spotted in Guyana's waters, there are no reports of any missing vessel or crew locally. There are also no reports from neighboring Suriname about any missing vessel. The vessel was discovered without an engine, leading security officials to suspect a possible pirate attack.
Calling all vehicle owners. Inspection and licensing continues. And at Hubbard's, we want you to be ready. From February 16th to March 31st, registration numbers 2,501 to 5,000 with single registration letter, or registration numbers 251 to 500 with plural registration letters will receive 11% off new torque tires and PowerMax batteries. Don't get caught unprepared. Visit us today at the Motor Department in Mount Gay or the Tire Bay in Grand Anse near to the building supplies.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.